What's up, guys? Synthetic Division here. So today's video, we are going to be talking about upgrading the Octaxe cooling system. So as many of you know, I already did the NerdQaxes, and they're doing well. I will be doing another video about the NerdQax Hydra that I have because I've got a cool idea for it. But let's take a peek at our Octaxe right now. So currently, I did update AXOS, and currently we are 60 or 59.9, and we're at 12 terahash on the ASICs. So, and we are 56.8 external temperature, which is the U38 sensor on the back of the board. And then we are 56.1, which is the U3 TPS right here. Thanks to AI, I had the AI dig through the BOM just so I knew exactly where things were and where to address any hotspots. So, obviously, we have our CSDs that are getting hot and our MOSFETs that are getting a little warm. So, and our inductor coils here, they're getting a little warm. They're not bad. It's not overheating. I don't have a problem with this one at all. But this is a bit of a more expensive miner, and I really wanted to kind of get this one upgraded and get it cooled a little bit better. Like I said, these Octaxes range from $400 to $500 to $600 depending on which model you have, and I want to protect mine as much as I can. I don't feel so bad putting a little bit of extra money towards the Octaxe as I do like with the NerdQaxes, for example. You know, each NerdQax was basically like a $50 to $60 upgrade, where the Octaxe is I'm probably close to $100 for both. You know, it's like doing two NerdQaxes, and literally it's running 6 tera or 12 terahash. So I mean, it's like running two NerdQax plus pluses. So currently we are 200 and I'm going to say 218 watts. That's 217.7, bouncing between 217.7 and 8, which puts us at an efficiency of about 18.16. So it's not terrible. It's pretty good. I like to, if I'm going to keep it running, I want to keep them under 20. I feel like that's a 20 watts per terahash. I feel like that's a good spot. It's not too crazy. So what are we going to be doing for it? So we're going to be doing these heat sinks right here. These are 20 by 20s. I'll leave a link for these below. These are going to go on the back side of the board. And then we are going to be doing IX-Tech's mod here, which will allow some vents for us. And then, of course, with that, we're going to be doing two of these AXP90-X47 fulls, and I'll show you guys how to set those up. I'm going to show you guys everything, how to set this up, how to install it, and then we'll go back and we'll look at our thermals afterwards. So some quick data real quick. I'll show you where we're at as far as settings and everything like that. Let me go to my settings tab. So we are currently set. Oh, maybe if it decides to load. Okay, so now it doesn't want to load. That's not good. Okay, so we are 740, 1200. 740 on the frequency, 1200 on the core voltage. Our target temperature is set to 60. Our shutdown temperature is set to 70. Our fan controller is linked, and I'm just going to leave it linked, okay? At least for now. And we are on the latest firmware, version 1.0.37.2 LTS. I just did that this morning. I want to make sure all the firmware was updated. I'm thinking I might do a video on how to do update firmware, just maybe for my sake and for reference, and in case anybody new comes to the channel and is looking for reference. You don't see a lot of that going on the old YouTube. So let's get this over to the bench. Let's get it tore down, and we might have to clean it up a little bit. She is dusty. So hang on just a second, guys. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, so we're back here at the bench. Now, the Octaxe is kind of big, and my camera setup is a little weird. So the first thing I like to do is, in case I knock things over, I actually like to pull the screen off. And I like to set it aside so it's not in the way. And I do that just for my peace of mind, because the last thing I want to do is break. I don't have an extra lily go, and so I don't want to lose that. I have a wire tie right here holding the wires. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that off real quick to undo that and get the wires out of the way. Get those all unplugged. So now we got to get it off this base. And if you've seen my teardown video before on this, about it being on the base. It's kind of a pain because this one has hardwired fans. So we'll have to deal with those, of course. It's kind of annoying. Not my favorite design, simply because yeah, it's not fun, but it is what it is. We'll get it taken care of. I got Altair's screwdriver I'm going to use because I seem to have mislocated my iFixit one, which means it's over on my teardown bench and it's missing. So let's get this off here real quick. We'll put the screws right there. If you tear down a lot of miners like I do, I highly recommend one of these mats. I mean, you can get them for dirt cheap from Amazon, something like that. It's nice to have little places to put screws and extra tools and stuff like that. It's pretty nice to have. Okay, so funny enough, VimU uses the same Snowman cooler as they do on their NerdOctaxe, which is pretty thick. This is the one from the NerdOctaxe, has some direct copper exposure. Some people say that's a good thing, some say it's a bad thing. That's up to how you look at it. Now, if you remember right, I have these janky little connectors in here that keep my wires. I just cut the wires. You can see those right there. I just use those for my fan connectors. Hey, they've been working great, so let's see how dirty that is. Let's set that aside, and we'll set the miner right there. Set the stand. I'll probably have to blow that out. So let's get to the back here. So the 20 by 20 heat sinks are actually going to go right here on these six squares right here. This is the 6 power phases. Now, when I was saying the U38 sensor, this is the temp sensor for the external temperature sensor right there. Okay, it says U38. Let's see if I can get focus. There you go. And the TPS is right here. This is the internal temperature. It's the U3. So we are going to heat sink the U3 and we are going to heat sink this. I have had TPS burnout, so might as well just better the safe than sorry, right? So if you remember right, on some of the VimU models, they have spacers in there. We will reutilize those spacers for the heat sinks. So let's tear these down and we'll put these screws right here in that little holder. It's actually a really nice screwdriver from Altair Technologies. Sent me that when they sent me that Nano 3S, which is literally sitting right next to me, rocking and rolling, by the way. I've just kind of kept it on the desk here for right now. I've got some future plans with it. I'll be taking it camping and fishing with me again because I'll be doing that in the beginning of September, the week of Labor Day, I believe, which will be fun. Now, with these ones that have the spacers, guys, be super careful not to lose them because you're going to want them. So we're just going to lift up lightly, pull it away. Thermal paste looking good still. We're going to take all these spacers and put them right here. And I imagine a lot of the 3.1 revisions look like this. So 2 heat sinks, they're still kind of wired together. We'll kick those aside, move them out of the way a little bit. And you can see the dirt on that board. Holy crap, man, it got pretty dirty right there. Look at that. Just dirt. Turn the light off, you'll see it better. Yeah, you can see where I just wiped it off. I'm going to get this cleaned up and get you guys a good look at this board. So give me 1 second. I'm going to clean it up, clean the thermal paste off, and be right back. All right, we are back. Man, I tell you what, these multi-chip miners, there's a lot going on when you're trying to clean them, especially with this one being so dirty. So I did wipe down the back pads here with the alcohol. That is simply just to make a good mounting surface for our new heat sinks. And I'll probably do that right towards the end because I don't think we'll just work around it right now. So the first thing we're going to be doing here is getting a little bit of pre-setup done. By pre-setup, I mean getting the fans mounted to the shroud. Now, if you watched my last video about the NerdOctaxe is how I mounted them to the shrouds there. I'm going to move this board. See my 2 janky little connectors right there? Man, they sure work, though. it helps. So we have our shroud here. Now, iX-Tech recommends that you run the screwdriver through the hole, but unfortunately, I don't have one like that. So my plan is to go from the same direction like I did with the other ones. Yeah, he did. I did watch his video. Great video, by the way, for this upgrade. I actually had bought these, and then like a couple days later, he did the upgrade. It's kind of did the video, which is kind of great. That way, I knew exactly what I was doing. I was a little nervous about tackling the Octaxe, so it's a big miner. It's got a lot going on. But anyway, so yeah, we'll just do the same thing we did before, where we'll run the screw from this side into the fans, and that will help with mounting. So I'm going to use a power screwdriver to do that. It's a little bit easier. I got my screws right here. Had to walk over to the bench and get them. Got these screws right here. And I think for what we're going to do, we're probably going to mount them this direction, where this wire comes up through the top here, and then this one comes through here. Take these peels off, guys. Can't stress that enough. Peels off the Arctic fans. These Arctic fans are not too bad. They're not crazy loud, but they're also not sacrificing a lot of airflow, which is why I don't really like Noctuas that much. Well, that's not why I don't like Noctuas. I don't like Noctuas because I don't like the color. And the only fan that they offer that's not that color is the PPC. So, which I actually have a couple of those running. If you've watched what old short from like a long time ago with the Doge crap miner, I had Noctua PPCs on that. So let's go ahead and get this screw started with the screwdriver. Then we'll twist it, let it chew that up a little bit, and then we'll back it out. And the same idea, guys, same like we did before, where we just run the screw in, and then just twist it a little bit, let it chew that up a little bit, and then we'll back it out a little bit. Move that fan out of the way for right now so you guys can see what I'm doing. It is kind of hard to see with the black on black screws there. So let's put that like that. And so we'll run it in and then just twist it. And that'll kind of chew up the hole so that it'll... These are tapping screws, or I like to call them cutter screws, because that's kind of what they do. Is they normally you would cut the case fans with that. Hopefully these are long enough for those fans. Should be. These fans have pretty good mounting holes on them, so I'll do the same thing for this one. Back them out. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll get the fans mounted, and I'll show you guys what it looks like afterwards. But I want you to have a good idea of how to do this part, because I think it's important. Just twist them in and get them tight, and then I'll get all the fans mounted, and I'll show you what it looks like. So hang on just a second, guys. Okay, guys, we got her assembled. That's what it's going to look like. Got our screws in. Fans are looking good. So we got everything we need there. So let's go ahead and get the miner set up here. We're going to be installing the two heatsinks. I'm going to show you guys how to install one. If you can do one, you can do the other. And remember that there is an orientation, and then I'll show you guys how to apply the shroud to the heatsinks once the heatsinks are installed. So there is our heatsinks. I'm going to show you how to set it up, just so you guys know. That way there's no questions there. Let's get this out. We won't need that or the instructions, because these are for computers, PCs, technically not for miners, but you know, we use them all the time for these things. So our hardware box, we can throw the rest of this stuff right back in the box and kick the box to the side. So we can go ahead and ditch this fan, which if you want, you can just pop this little bracket out like so. Keep the bracket handy because we're going to need those, and then kick these off like that. And I'm going to have a bunch of these fans laying around. I guess if I ever need spares, these will actually fit into the back of my stand, so that's kind of cool. I guess if I ever need spares. So let's get the hardware out. I'm going to have tons of this thermal paste, which is I'm going to actually use for our thermal paste test. I'm getting everything acquired for that. That'll be pretty cool. We're going to use the hydro for that. So currently it has these 1700 brackets on there. We just need to pop those off. Go ahead and take that off and get this taken off. So the screws are out of the way. Let's get these bags out of the way. The only thing we need is the other brackets. And toss those aside. We don't need any of the hardware because we're going to use our own hardware. Now remember what I told you guys on the NerdOctaxe is make sure that these little divots right here are facing up into the heatsink like this, okay? So we'll go ahead and get a screw ready. And this might take a little trickery, but you should be able to do it no problem. Once you get the one, it's pretty straightforward to grab the other one because you just get it somewhat tight and then you can line up the other one and then give them a little torque. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll get this other bracket. Again, these ones are unlabeled, so that these are the ones you need. The other ones are shaped like that, so that's not what you're going to need there. And then we will do the same thing. Get the little divot facing into the heatsink. Screw put on there. Pretty good magnet on this Altair toolkit, actually. I was going to take it to work and use it for a precision screwdriver at work, but looks like I'm using it at home right now until I can find my iFixit one. And hopefully my kid didn't run off with it to take apart something. Okay, so that's how we're going to set them up. We're going to get them both set up, but I'm going to have this one go ahead and get ready to rock and roll and put it on the board, so that way you guys can see how they're oriented, and you can also see like kind of how I put them on. So we'll get these brackets. I will probably hold on to the brackets, but you don't really need to. I usually just hold on to them for the hardware. So we've got our miner. Remember, we've got those janky plugs right there. So yours won't look like this, just be warned, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get some thermal paste on this board. And I've got some Kryonaut that I'm gonna be putting on. I don't mind spending a little bit more for the Octaxe just because, like I said, the Octaxe is a way bigger investment than a NerdOctaxe. I think right now NerdOctaxes I keep seeing them go for about 160 bucks or so. So, but got plenty of Kryonaut. So I like the Kryonaut because it comes with the little spudger tools, and I use those spudger tools quite a bit. So mainly just for cleaning, to be honest. These little spatulas, they're kind of nice. Spudger, whatever they call them. Let's clean up our work area a little bit. Got quite the mess going on here. Okay, so we're going to put some thermal paste on. Don't need a lot, just enough to cover the chips. A little messy on that one. On that. Okay, so we got to remember that this side will be first. So we're going to orient this like this so that the heat pipes are going vertical. And then we will we have our spacers still. So we're just going to kind of set those in there. This is going to be a little bit of a trick to do, guys. Just be patient. Make sure you catch that spacer when you're doing this. Okay. So we're going to go like this. We're going to catch a screw, put it right on the corner there. And this is where it gets tricky, and like I always do, if you guys watch my videos, I take my squints off, and I just get in here and try to get this board screw hole lined up. And we'll get one of our screws. And sometimes if you're working at a desk, this is easier to do if you can kneel down and kind of get eye level with the desk. There we go, we already dropped one of the spacers. Screw in. If you can get one of these started, you're pretty much set. We got one started. Slide this down just a touch and grab another one. And there we go. Grab one more. Make sure these are always fun to deal with. Got our spacers captured, yep. And we just have one more for this heatsink. And you can take your little screwdriver and just kind of center the spacer up by putting it in there. Don't get too crazy with it, but and then we'll go ahead and tighten them all down. Okay, and that's how you do it, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the other one mounted, and then I'll pause the video, mount it, and then I'll show you how to put the shroud on. So hang on just a second. Okay, guys, so we've got the outside ones on. The inside ones are a little bit more tricky. You are gonna have to kind of shift them around a little bit, okay? So like I kind of went in at an angle, and then I kind of used the back of this to push it through. So let's get it onto, this is gonna be really hard to show you guys, but I think you get the idea, hopefully. And like I said, I'll do my best to show you what I got going on here. So I've got both of them in there now. And I just got to get them to slot into the little grooves on the heatsink. Maybe I should have just put one in, I think. Might have been easier. So yeah, we got it on there. Just got to get it to slot in. And so you'll kind of take the miner like this and just kind of work its way into that groove from the side here. And then the same thing will go for this one. You're going to have to get it slotted up and lined up. And just make sure that we're in the holes there. So we're in, and then according to their instructions, they recommend doing both of them. So I'm going to make sure we do them both, and we got to get that one in there to where it bites down like that. So kind of just took that, put it in there, and then just kind of use this to kind of help it get in there a little bit, and kind of went at an angle, and then just kind of push it. They're pretty springy, so I don't think you'll have too much trouble. Kind of makes some ugly noises, but it's just fine. It's just the heatsink or the shroud. So then you're going to hook it on there, kind of get it started on that groove if you can. And then you'll come back over here to the other side, and I'll see if I can show you. Same idea, get it into the holes, get it locked into the groove once you've got it into the holes. Hopefully you guys can see that somewhat okay. And then get this one up into there and get that lined up. Might use a little tool like this, might help just to get that down into the groove. And, oh, almost had it. Little bit of a trick here, guys. The center one is tricky, but it's got to be done. It's got to be down in there. So hold that, and I think we've got it. Yeah, looks like we've got them. Okay, so there she is. She's massive. Just keep that in mind, guys. It also is big now. Okay, so I'm going to get it mounted back on the stand. I am going to throw those heat sinks on the back, and I'll show you those heat sinks before I mount it. So hang on just a second. We'll be right back. Okay, real quick, guys. Got the heat sinks put on. Now, you know there's a weird gap here. That is because our temp sensor's right there. So we don't want to set this on top of that or anything like that. We want it to be right there. You know, not covered, not cattywampus. We don't want this sitting all weird. So, okay. Anyways, I'm going to get back stand. We'll get it over to the bench and we'll fire it up. So hang on a second, guys. Okay, guys, so we have a problem. So now I got to figure out what it is. Our temperature is 66.6, so I'm going to shut it down now. But we've got to figure out what's going on with that. So I'm going to pause the video. I'll look it over, and then I'll get back to you guys. So hang on just a second. All right, guys. So it was a seating issue. What I ended up having to do is take the little spacers out that went around the edge and then just flush the screws up underneath. Wasn't too big of a deal, but it was kind of scary because it was like in a thermal runaway. That's why I always test them before I move them back, and then I'll leave this in here for like 24 hours just to ensure everything's good. So we've been running for a while now, 56 on the ASICs and under 50 on both of the voltage regulators, the internal temp and the external temp. Now I did place a heatsink here on the TPS. Didn't touch any more of the stuff here. Just did those big heat sinks on the back, and it's running great. So we'll leave this. We'll let it run a couple of days right here on the bench, make sure everything's good. One thing I want to mention, you remember the two Thermalright fans that were in this? They look like these red and orange guys. So I opted to take the hardwired ones out. So these guys right here that had I put the little plugs on, and I put two of these in the back and then just ran them off of the secondary header that was on each of those Arctic fans. So we'll see how that does. I think it'll be okay. It'll be a little bit less quiet, or a little bit quieter, because those fans were 100% all the time, and I'm pretty sure I'd actually fired it up and I thought a bearing was going out on one of the fans already. And if you can, it's kind of noisy, so it's pretty loose. So I think that'll be it. I think this is a win. Hopefully everything holds up right. It looks like it's doing fine. We'll know more. Our input, our wall power went down by 7 watts by doing this. I'm not sure. Maybe these fans, well, it's probably because these two fans aren't running at 100%. So that's good news. Anyways, guys, I think that's it. We got some good temps out of this, and it's able to maintain. This room currently is 77 degrees, so it's fairly toasty in here. So we'll see when it goes back to the mining room how it does. Anyways, I'll leave links for everything I use down below. The EX-Tech kit, the coolers and all that stuff, and the little heats, those 20 by 20 heat sinks. Those were fun. I found those on Amazon. So anyways, guys, appreciate taking the time to watch videos. Let me know down in the comments if you guys done this upgrade, or have you done, what kind of upgrades have you done to your Octaxe? I'd like to know. I feel like the Octaxe is worth protecting, so spending a little bit of money for an upgrade, well worth it. About $100 in stuff here. So anyways, guys, thanks for taking time to watch the video. I appreciate it. Peace out.